Friends to the Monday Moon Muse. Nice to connect with you after a brief hiatus. I went on a vacation. I went to New Zealand for about 10 days, which wasn't long enough, unfortunately, but it really rejuvenated me at a time when rejuvenation is a beautiful thing and is actually the theme of the season, even though it might not feel like it right now. And that suffice to say that there's a lot of astrological weather, there's a lot of turbulence, there's a lot of difficulty happening in the world. That's evident. But how we approach all of that becomes a very powerful strategy. And this is how Vedic astrology really serves us. When there are moments when we can choose to align with negativity and become it and let it consume us, which is not very productive for peace of mind and inner happiness, or we can derive a strategy in the midst of difficult moments that allow us to grow. And as I've mentioned many times, this is why all the great teachings of enlightenment happen in the context of a battlefield. So this week, we encounter some really big changes that have already started with Jupiter going direct. And I don't want to underestimate how wonderful this is, my friends. This is something we can really put our attention on because he's certainly giving his benefic glance on this quagmire of planets, this lineup of planets, which reminds us a bit or gives us a bit of post-traumatic stress from the COVID times. Flights are disrupted, people are stuck, there's all kinds of uncertainty, we feel out of control. But what's happening is we're receiving a great glance from Jupiter, and Jupiter is the star of the show this year, and Jupiter is the highest benefic in the Vedic tradition, meaning wherever he casts his glance, it's divine, it's uplifting. So there is an opportunity in all of this, like there was during COVID time. Some of us use the time for deep meditation and spiritual practice, which is what this time is really advantageous for. So the big thing that happens this week is the moon is going to slip in between the two nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, generating something called the snake of time. In Sanskrit, this is Kala Sarpa Yoga. And what snake of time is it's a roll of the dice. It's that game Chutes and Ladders. In America, we call it Chutes and Ladders. In India, it's a very ancient board game called Snakes and Ladders. And if you've ever played it, it's pretty simple. You roll the dice and you either climb up the ladder to get to the goal, or you hit a snake or a chute and you can go immediately to the top, or you can go immediately to the bottom. And this board game is actually based on this astrological configuration known as the snake of time, which is a big gamble. We don't know how things are going to turn out. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. This is actually the intensification of what all of us go through in our life. It's just that it's condensed in a particular period of time that's going to go for another month. So we're hedged in a way. We're hedged in by our fate, and fate will bring us either up or fate will bring us down. And here's where the teachings of the Buddha really help us. So the Buddha, after he got enlightened, gave his first sermon, the teachings of the turning of the wheel of Dharma. Were the first and core teachings that the Buddha imparted to the world. And the very first thing that he wants to share with us to help us with this dilemma of up and down fortune are what he called the Four Noble Truths. And I personally have derived a lot of comfort from the Four Noble Truths at many points in my life. And I think that they're especially apt in this particular circumstance, where we're in the snake of time. It's anybody's guess how things are going to turn out, whether we're up or whether we're down, whether we're happy or whether we're sad. The Buddha calls that suffering. The first noble truth, sarvam evam dukkam, all this is suffering. And now, that can sound a bit morbid and depressing from one perspective, but it's actually medicine. You know, like sometimes medicine is bitter, oftentimes it is, but that bitterness can produce great health. And the same thing with this particular realization. Life never promised us a rose garden, people. We didn't come to this plane to experience endless bliss. That's not what this world is about. This world is about encountering all these ups and all these downs and realizing that they don't define who we are. So this is the first thing. All life is suffering. All this is suffering. Second noble truth, suffering has a cause. And this is really helpful. What's making me so upset is very clearly articulated by the Buddha as avidya, ignorance. I mean, how often have we encountered something in life that made us so upset, or conversely so elated? Oh my God, I found the perfect one for me. We fell in love, only to end up in a divorce court, right? Up and down fortunes, right? But how often do we come to the end of an experience and realize, oh wow, I wish I had known this. I could have saved myself years of suffering or years of therapy. Right? So suffering is caused by what we don't know. And if we know that we don't know, we can enter into the third noble truth, which is suffering has an end, which is that state of wonder. I really don't know. And I don't know can be frustrated. I don't know. Or it can be a beautiful, mysterious, childlike wonder kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the master plan. I have no idea why we are in this circumstance or why these things happen. And I don't have to. I can be free from the constraints of knowing, because knowing puts us into the same kind of play of opposites. This is true, this is not true, this is right, this is not right. So there's a third field out beyond, right doing and wrong doing. There's a field. I'll meet you there, said Rumi. So that's the third noble truth. Suffering has an end. And I always love the third noble truth. Suffering has an end. And the end of suffering is the fourth noble truth, which is the best place for us to put our attention during this time of the snake of time configuration that we're entering into this week. And that is the Noble Eightfold Path. In the path of the Buddha, he articulates a path of alignment with the way things are, with Dharma. That's why he called it turning the wheel of Dharma. There's a way that we can align ourselves that doesn't bind us into the entrapment of whether I like it or whether I don't like it, or whether it's good for me or whether it's not good for me. And this is our spiritual practice. So in moments like this that seem dire, tense, stressful, world is changing, our lives are changing, it's uncertain, this is a wonderful time for prayer, for meditation, for going inside. You may even feel naturally drawn inside. And nature itself is calling us toward a rebirth. This is why also this week, beginning on the 19th, the Navaratri cycle begins, the 9 nights of the Mother Divine. And in these 9 nights, which are astrologically determined, so the cosmos itself is going through a 9-night, which represents actually the 9 months in the womb of rejuvenation, of rebirth, of reorientation. In the darkest moment, that's when the help arrives. And this has been recognized from time immemorial in the Vedic tradition as the 9 nights of Mother Divine. So this begins the cycle on the 19th, that at the end of the 9 nights, you may feel a lot lighter, a lot happier, especially if you observe even a few moments of silence. If you don't have a formal practice, just observing the pull of nature toward an inner state of silence will be really beneficial during this time. Also, I want to invite you to a very special online event that's free, and it is the annual Inner Light Jyotish Summit, hosted by my dear friend and colleague Swati Miller, who beautifully brought together a group of all women Vedic astrologers. And I'm just so excited to be part of this gathering with these incredible luminaries. And the topics that they're presenting on Vedic astrology. I'm going to be talking about the Vedic zodiac as the oldest living tradition of a divine feminine universe. The 27 nakshatras of the Vedic zodiac are each goddesses in this tradition. So in honor of Navaratri, there are going to be some really amazing presentations daily over the 9 nights, and I really will love to see you all there and welcome you to join us. And I've included the link in the show notes to this week's broadcast of the Moon Muse. So be sure to register. And like I said, it's absolutely free, and would just love to share our luminosity with all of you. So this is my message for this week. I'm happy to be back, and look forward to hearing from you all in the comments as to what's coming up for you during this time of up and down, of uncertain fortunes, and how you're coping with it all. Share your secrets with us. All right, my dears, sending you lots of love, and I'll be back again next week.